Hi guys, I wanted to present to you a short explanatory video on phases of a spiritual life as I have encountered them and as I see many spiritual people around me passing through them. And some phases of this life have some specific pitfalls, which is why I wanted to map them out for you to make it a bit easier to look out for those signs. And spirituality to me is simply a coming home. Coming home to what? Coming home to your true self. So remembering who you are and then eventually embodying that spirit in the physical. This to me is spirituality. So it's just a remembering of your own true nature. So keeping this in mind, the way you would usually start off would be a normal person having a normal life, having a job. Maybe you're married, maybe not. And you have a certain set of beliefs. And then something happens. Either you have like massive pain in your life, maybe from childhood trauma, maybe from some life event, or you simply have a spontaneous spiritual awakening and you become aware that there's actually more than just the five senses. There's something that is not confined to the physical, but goes beyond the physical and the five senses, which is spiritual, the spiritual world. And in the beginning, this feels so nice. Like the spiritual path feels like, oh my God, you're onto something. You're not just a human. You're not just flesh. There's not just a 3D. There might be even more dimensions. And we start talking about 4D, 5D, and the veil and passing through. And it feels so good. And I want to draw your attention to something that happens here subconsciously in the first phase, when everything feels glorious and you feel like you're figuring it out and you have a little bit more knowledge than maybe just a normal person, still stuck in the matrix, still stuck in 3D. So the first thing I want to draw your attention to is that in this spiritual phase, in this what I call the first spiritual phase, you are actually adding on to your original beliefs. You're adding on spiritual concepts and a spiritual belief system. And this is super important to keep in mind. So you're adding concepts and belief systems. And if we look energetically at a person is their core frequency. And this is I'm not good at drawing. This is supposed to be the frequency, the core frequency of a person. There's not really a solidified core. And then this person has, each of us, as we are born, we have many, many layers of, you want to call it either karma, karmic impressions, or densities. And these are our beliefs. This is how every signal that comes from outside is interpreted and skewed through our belief system and then reaches us somewhat here. And in this first initial phase of spirituality, what you actually do is you add on more beliefs and more concepts, which in that moment feel good. And the super essential thing I want you to know is that there's no right or wrong here. It's not that one is better than the other. I just want to give some insights on how this usually plays out so that you can be aware of all the pitfalls. So in this first phase, you are adding to your belief systems. And usually there might be dark nights of the soul where you, like shorter dark nights of the soul where you for some weeks you kind of, you go crash then you kind of come back up again. But all in all, your journey is upward, which is great because this is our fuel. This is what gives us the notion, oh, we're actually onto something. If it feels shitty right from the beginning, we're probably not gonna go on that journey. And as you go upward on this journey, as you keep adding and adding and adding your belief system, something happens that I want to draw your attention to. Typically, this is when our normal ego, normal human 3D, if you want to call it, personal ego gets transformed and hijacks spirituality. This is what happens in the first phase of spirituality. The ego hijacks this journey. It's completely fine. It happens to all of us. That means the egoic thought structure here that we usually judge and condemn as something inferior, something 3D, something caught up in the matrix, is not dissolved, but it is substituted by another belief system. Now maybe you make crystals your God, or you make your spiritual community your God, whereas before it might have been stability, family, a normal job, money. So the thing here is that this is fueled underneath by something real, definitely. This is our true self that is fueling this journey. I want to call it maybe the fire of liberation. Okay, this is supposed to be a fire, sorry. A flame of liberation that is fueling the journey. But in this phase, this journey is still interpreted and hijacked by the ego that is now spiritualized. And Adyashanti said, and this is so, I've seen this so many times in myself and in others, he said something like that: there's nothing as vicious as a spiritual ego. Your spiritual ego can so easily disguise behind all these belief systems. And in this mixture of real awakening and your inner fire coming along and your ego hijacking this journey, this is typically a pretty explosive state where people usually look for signs. Here, in this normal human 3D life, you outsource your power onto money, onto stability, onto family, onto a job, onto authority, onto the government, you name it. Whereas here, you're still outsourcing your power, because remember what we said in the beginning, spirituality is a coming home to what? To yourself, to source. The source of yourself, the source of your origin, basically. So in these both phases, we are still separated from source. And paradoxically, as we are moving towards spirituality in this phase that is partially hijacked by ego, in a way we're moving ourselves deeper into the matrix and deeper into separation. So in other words, away from source. Obviously, we can never get away from source because source is everywhere. But in this phase of the spiritual journey being partially hijacked, this is a typical phase where you will outsource your power onto signs, For example, oh my God, I saw a butterfly, or I saw a dragonfly, or I saw 1111 somewhere. Outsourcing your power onto signs is just one passage on the spiritual journey, but it's an indication that you're outsourcing your power, that you haven't yet built your stable ground. A big sign of your spiritual journey being hijacked is comparison. You compare where you stand, your awakening, your spiritual gifts, whatever, how much spiritual impact you have on people with others on the spiritual journey. Comparison is a strong indication of separation. It's a strong indication of your ego acting up. And this is good. We want the ego to be acting up because the ego is what in the end will get dissolved and let go of. Another sign of this journey is that you will be thinking in right or wrong. Oh my God, I'm right. And I totally understood how everything works, and all the other, especially the 3D people, don't understand a thing. My God, I should be their guru. I should be leading them on. Another sign is that you can have these spiritual highs where you feel incredibly strong energy. This is supposed to be your body. I'm sorry. It's just coming into your body, and it's too much, like your body hasn't purified to the extent that it can hold the spiritual energy, so you actually partially leave your body. So instead of descending, you kind of ascend, but while you're still in the physical, which is not the best place to be because it's lacking the ground. But it's fine. It's just a passage on the journey. The thread here is that you can actually leave your body and you lose your grounding and your touch with reality. You become a little bit locked into your own spirituality, and you're no longer interconnected to all that is. That is not a place from which you can actually serve. It's not a place of non-personal compassion. This would also be a place where you might have a lot of spiritual visions, appearances. You might see appearances. Maybe Jesus appears to you if you're Christian. Maybe you have visions of God. Maybe you have peeks behind the veil and all that kind of stuff. The thread here is that these visions will still be interpreted by your belief systems that are ego-based, that have just been spiritualized. And if this happens, then even when you come in touch with truth, your ego will interpret it in a way where you will use it, your ego will use it against someone. It will use it in a right or wrong mindset. Jesus appeared to me. Now I know only Christianity is the true religion and we should follow Jesus, and Jesus is the only way. So this is, you can see that this is the path where we can actually, through our judgments, through the power also that we gain by our spiritual insights and our spiritual gifts, interpreted by our ego and our belief system, we can do great harm to ourselves, to our friendships, to our families, and to other people. So this is definitely a phase that you want to watch. And conversely, while you think you're ascending and while you think you're actually going, yay, straight to liberation, what actually happens is that you're pushing yourself, you're moving yourself deeper and deeper and deeper into the matrix. You've just spiritualized your journey. You've spiritualized what is happening. You've spiritualized that you feel superior to other people, and therefore you justify it. So in other words, you're actually not moving towards liberation, you're actually moving yourself towards separation. Again, completely fine, it's just a step on the journey. And the threat here is that people can stay in this phase for many, many years. That is when they suddenly only do spiritual stuff, when they only converse with people who get them, when they only keep spiritual company. They're not really interconnected to anything anymore. This can become a trap, a rabbit hole, and a prison even more than the original life, because here you're still kind of doing your life, you're still being to some extent interconnected to nature, to other people around you, to a community. And this can be a very lonesome and a bit of a dangerous place for yourself. Like, this is when people get lost in conspiracy theories, for example. They may or may not be true, I don't know, but if you attach to them, that will be your downfall. So here, the attachment to these belief systems, to these thoughts becomes very strong. And attachment is the opposite of liberation. And now, if your soul fire is really strong, if your soul in this lifetime, maybe you want to explore this in your lifetime, and this is where you are, and this is perfect. If your soul fire is so strong that you will have something in yourself that will keep propelling you forward, what will happen is the distance between truth, the truth of who you are, the truth of who we all are, and the rabbit hole, the spiritual belief system that you place yourself a little bit in, this distance, because this is attachment. This is as much illusion as this. And the distance between illusion and truth is what hurts us. This is what brings suffering. So the more we remember and want to return to truth, and the further we are from truth, the more we suffer. And this suffering is actually a blessing, because this will tell us that there's something wrong with this thought system. There's something wrong here, and something needs to be adjusted. And now, kind of the real spiritual journey begins. And this is a quiet journey. This is a private journey. While this is a very loud journey, and we proclaim, oh my God, we found the truth to everyone, and everyone should follow us, and people who are not like us and who don't share the same thought system are wrong. So we are very loud and vocal here. Here you'd become quiet suddenly. You'd become private. And this is where the journey between you and God, you and truth, you and your soul starts to begin. And this is the journey of falling away. Here you start actually letting go of thought systems, letting go of beliefs. This is the part where you shed your identity over and over and over. And this can go weeks, probably months, probably years. And because we think we are our identity, this can feel like death over and over and over and over and over again. And you feel like you're tumbling and tumbling and tumbling, and there's nothing left to hold on to. This can be an extremely painful and disorienting phase in your life. There's literally nothing left to hold on to. Why? By design, because here we've outplaced our power. We've made other gods, before truth. We've outsourced our power onto concepts, and if we want truth, all these concepts need to go, because these are just illusions, just replacements, very inadequate replacements for truth, which is why this will never make us happy. This will never bring us peace, no matter how hard you try. Convincing yourself, convincing the people around you, you will never feel peace, and you will always feel deep down inside something is wrong, something is missing. And now the long phase of deconstructing happens, the tumbling. This can mean weeks in bed, for example. You don't understand anything, waves of depression, childhood stuff coming up, stuff from other lifetimes coming up that needs to be washed out for this purification of your vessel. And while you're in it, it feels so frightening because you cannot see the end. If you're in this phase, I just want to say congratulations and keep going, keep trusting, no matter how hard it seems, how crazy alone you feel. It is transient. You will get out of there. And what happens when all these concepts crash? So this is a prolonged and an actual dark night of the soul. But what happens when you're out? And it's not like you're out and then you're out. It's like you're out and you go back in. You're out and you go back in. You're out and you go back in. But after months and years of this process, you will find a deeper ground of being. If you look at this as the ocean and there's so many like surface waves and everything's tumbling and there's never peace, this is where you find peace. This is where nothing moves and yet everything is possible. And again, I'm guessing this is just a transient phase of the journey. So in all these phases, there are two things that will help you, always help you, and never lie to you. And the first thing is the body. Your body is your anchor to the present moment. It brings you out of your head and into your own truth, what you need right now. Your body helps you to be present. And your body is your truth teller. Oops. Your body will tell you, is this right? What I'm believing here, does this feel good? Do I feel in resonance with my true essence, with my true nature? And it will always guide you. And the second thing is nature. Nature will always hold you. Nature will give you exactly what you need. And nature will make you humble and strong at the same time. Nature will remind you that you are a piece of everything and that therefore everything lies within you. And you do not have to go outside searching for your worthiness, searching for being seen by other people, outsourcing your power, and then trying to get it back through validation, through your now maybe spiritual job, spiritual business, or being a wannabe guru. So coming back to the body, coming back to nature in all these phases is one of the most helpful things you could do to yourself. And especially in this phase of deconstruction, of letting go, of real liberation, coming back to the body, grounding everything, nourishing your body, making life very simple, very easy. And so in terms of energy, what happens from here to here is, so here you start adding, compared to what happens here in the deconstruction phase, is that you actually start losing your karmic imprints. You start losing your belief systems. And what this entails is that more and more you become your core frequency. And this, everything that hinders signals to be received as their actual signals, will break down. So this means you will see reality as it is. Signals you will be receiving will be clear and not distorted by your own karmic imprints. And also, on the other hand, you will be emitting a very purified, very clear core frequency. So once you've reached this level, life becomes very easy. Why? Because you attract everything that you need to know and to have on your spiritual journey effortlessly. Because there's no more effortless frequency or way of being than being your own true self. This is effortless. Everything else, this phase is so effortful because you're not coming from the core, from the truth of who you are. You're acting from one of your concepts or belief systems. And this separation, this distance between acting on an idea, on an outside shell that you think you are, this distance towards your own true self is what causes you effort. And in this purification process that we have here, this breaks down and you get to simply be who you are. And this is what we call the flow, the Tao, the non-doing, the non-being. This is you being connected to Source, connected to all that is, constantly receiving signals, receiving information, and sending out your own purified, your own authentic messaging. It's a beautiful place to be. It's a very grounded, very simple and quiet place to be. The people who have reached this phase, they will not be loud. They will not be vocal. They can be if they have to be and if it's their role in the world, but it will not be to defend a thought system or to make a judgment. It will be because they are expressing the truth of who they are. They are in service of all that is and towards all that is. So their actions will be fueled by compassion and by power. So this is a brief summary of what I experienced that I wanted to share with you, that many of us go through on the spiritual path. I hope it was helpful. Obviously, every journey is different. I would never think that I know what your journey looks like. If this resonates, if this was of use to you, I'm very happy. That was the intention. If not, please share. Please let me know what your spiritual journey looks like. Let me know where you experienced pitfalls, where you experienced challenges and how you overcame them. And if you have any other opinion, experience, if you have any questions, please comment. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And I would love to know more about your journey. That was it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.